Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Chancellor, President Trent, parents, ladies and gentlemen, and graduating class. Thank you very much for this extraordinary honor. It means a lot more to me than you can know to be welcomed back to my Canadian home in this way. For graduation students, I know that you have been looking forward to this day and for many years. And I want to commend you for your hard work and congratulate you and your family on this important occasion. I, too, have been looking forward to donning an academic grant and crossing this podium for about 35 years. When I earned my bachelor's degree as an international student back in 1978, I could not afford to stay the extra months after exams to participate in the Convocation. So in truth, this is the first degree Trent has formally awarded me. I really feel great. Thank you. I came to Trent in 1976 because I knew I wanted a different kind of university. My parents sent me abroad because my involvement in student activism in Hong Kong at the time was beginning to make my family uncomfortable. They may have thought that they were sending me off to exile in a cold and barren north of Canada. Little did they know that my new home was an environmental paradise full of friendly and supportive professors and students. And in Peterborough, so many people were more than happy to help a young Chinese boy. And a year later, my wife, Rita, feel at home here in this small but full of fun and warm little town, Peterborough. Little did my parents know that the first friend I would make right here on this podium on the first day of school happened to be the then president of the Trent Student Union. And he assured me that my student activism was not left behind in Hong Kong. I participated in all aspects of university life and became the finance commissioner of Trent Student Union in 1977. Thanks to all this generous support from the Trent students at that time. At that time, we have only about 30 international students at Trent. So working very hard to get the vote from Canadian students was one of my priority at the time, and I really worked hard. If students are here still remember, actually, I asked my friend, who is a rowing team of the Trent, they rowed down the boat along the Autonomy River, carrying a flag, vote Justin Chiu. So that's why how I got my over 400 votes at that time. Out of the, probably at that time, we were around 2,500 Trent students. Not bad, huh? I'm also glad that my buddy at Trent at that time, Jeff Montreal, could be here today. Jeff and I served in the Trent Student Union together in 1997. At that time, Jeff was the president and I was the finance commissioner. So we worked very hard for the student body here at Trent also. And I think seeing Jeff today really made my Trent experience complete. After 40 years, we still meet and we still recognize each other. Wherever I go in the world, I share my pride in Trent education, and I hope you'll share that pride in what you have accomplished in your studies and all friendships you have made here in our Trent community. Something else we share in common. When I completed my studies at Trent, we were at a difficult time economically in Asia, and especially for my family in Hong Kong. My father died when I was studying in Canada, and my family could not afford to pay for my honor year at Trent. So I had to leave Peterborough as soon as exams were finished. And it was time for me to take up the responsibility of family and the real world. Maybe you have also felt some of the anxiety at this moment, wondering what the world has in store for you, wondering how today's challenges at large, and especially here in Canada, would affect you in your job prospects. Maybe you have listened to the media criticism of the liberal arts education. Maybe you even heard of your own degree program held up as a negative example. I know how daunting this can feel. After all, I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology. We know that some of you will start your career in jobs that seem well short of your dreams. Others will follow paths to careers we haven't even dreamt of. Most will have to work long hours to build experience upon education and find a good path. Very few of us feel we have stepped right into that thing we call success. I'm lucky that I can look back on what many people call success. But believe me, it is only with hindsight that allows that. Success was never a certainty. If I can share with you some of the wisdom that has been handed down to me by my mentors, it would be this: courage and integrity. For courage, dear students, you may have heard many of your elders and mentors talking about the importance of developing clear and well-founded principles and to live by a value system or a life compass. But more importantly, is how you're going to uphold this principle and commit to it. To say what you mean and to mean what you say. This requires courage and determination. This is even more so when situations call for tough decisions. After highly challenged circumstances, while knowing that there is no ideal solution and no decision will satisfy all the parties involved. It is a courage and determination underpinned by principle that defines leadership. During my school years in Canada, I was truly inspired by the example of the true leader displayed by the then Prime Minister Pierre-Elliott Trudeau. He faced the toughest time in Canadian history on overhaul of Canadian criminal laws, the separatism from Quebec, national energy policy, and social reforms. But he managed to shape and maintain Canada a unified, bilingual, multicultural, and just society. But be clear, I'm not making a value judgment on the principle, political, philosophical, or any specific decision taken by Mr. Trudeau. I just admired him as an example of true leadership, founded on courage and determination. To add on one's principle, to say what you mean and to mean what you say. Just watch me. It's the wisdom I've taken from Mr. Trudeau. The other factor is integrity. Dear students, integrity means you never promise something that you are not certain you can deliver. And when you make a promise, consider it your highest value to work until you have fulfilled that promise. There's nothing more valuable than your integrity. The promise you make and keep is the basis of any relationship, whether business or personal. And any relationship, even with the most apparent insignificance, may mean more to you tomorrow than it is today. Look around you now. These are the friends and potential friends who already matter to you. A moment ago, you might have taken that relationship for granted. But after you leave here today and hold it only in memory, you feel the value of that friendship is in absence. Please don't for a minute think that what I mean by this word, that you should be cautious in making your commitment. On the contrary, rely on your creativities and be confident that your individual perspective may be the key to a new idea, a new solution, or a new success for your team. I believe that this is a trend way. Sometimes people may think you are crazy for taking the risk of creativity, the risk of bringing sociology together with economics, like me. I'm a double major in sociology and economics. Or classic with forensics, maybe cultural studies with business. If that seems crazy to some, it's okay. I've been called crazy for some of the most successful ventures I have launched. Trent has encouraged you to take the risk of creative, critical thinking, and I want to encourage you to enjoy working hard to run that risk into accomplishment. In my career, I've seen more than a little bit of the world, having traveled and done business on almost every continent except perhaps the Antarctica. And there's one thing I've learned with certainty. The world needs more Trent. The world needs more people like you, who were educated in a university where not just the content of the courses, but the experience of learning. A university learning itself is of greater value than mere facts and knowledge. A university where belonging means welcome to everyone. And a university that recognizes each one of us has the capacity to see things in a unique way. That just may mean the difference between success and excellence. It is important to see things in their historical perspective. Maybe this is easier for Chinese, as we have several thousand years of recorded history that can put a few years of difficult economy in perspective. A little bit of history that I lived. When I graduated and returned to Hong Kong, a man named Deng Xiaoping had just become the leader of China. And he was introducing reform he called socialism with Chinese characteristics. A sleeping giant has started to awake, and my home Hong Kong was its main economic conduit to the outside world. You may say the tragedy of my career has been riding on the dragon tail of China's rising. A few years after the Canadian Constitution was repatriated in 1982, Margaret Thatcher signed papers guaranteeing that Hong Kong would gain independence from the British Empire as well. And in 1997, that independence meant the beginning of a new relationship between Hong Kong and China. Since then, the global economy has expanded remarkably and nearly collapsed at least twice. SARS taught us that the distance from Hong Kong to Toronto can be tragically short. And just a few years later, China hosted both the Beijing Summer Olympic and the Shanghai Exposition, something we never could have imagined in 1978. Reflecting on a bit of history makes me think you never know how things are going to work out. My father never got a chance to see the result of his sending me off to Canada. I wish he could be here today, along with all of you here, celebrating this wonderful moment for all of us. If he were here, I would certainly, he would say, you never know how things are going to work out, boy. And if he were here, I would have the opportunity to show him how my new Trent degree and to say thank you. I'm so lucky to have found a new home here for you. So, dear friends, no matter how difficult it could be, at least for the time being, have hope, have faith, because you never know how things is going to work out for you. Good luck. Thank you.